Weekend Breakfast with Africa Melane.
It is 9 minutes past 7 o'clock this Saturday morning, and on Tuesday, the Constitutional Court is expected to make a groundbreaking ruling that could affect the entire country, from the banking system down to ordinary tenants trying to make ends meet. The court is expected to confirm that it is unlawful to hold new owners liable for previous owners' or tenants' debts. It means ordinary ratepayers will now know their rights when it comes to coughing up cash to cover a previous tenant or owner's municipal debt. Municipalities potentially face the risk of refunding innocent purchasers and banks millions due to their actions by forcing innocent parties to pay previous owners' debts. This morning, we're joined by Peter Livanos, a municipal debt specialist with New Ventures Consulting and Services. Peter, a very good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Africa. Thank you very much for having me on your show and particularly caring about the situation.
Oh, it's an important one, I think. Peter, what is the constitutional test in question, if you like, when it comes to this? As a person who is a tenant, I would hate to be held liable for somebody else's debt if I did not incur didn't use electricity, use that water. Why should I be paying for it? But what is the constitutional test that is going to be answered on Tuesday?
That's absolutely correct. Except it's not the tenants that are having the problem. It's the people that are the new owners, the new innocent purchasers of the properties. A lot of people actually forgot where this whole big court case actually started. Our company, what we actually do, we specialize in municipal debt, particularly and especially when properties are transferred. We are famous in the industry for reducing the municipality's clearance figures when a property gets transferred. Now, in all of these instances, the properties were transferred. We reduced the municipality's inflated claims when the clients needed clearance certificates. And when the properties were transferred to the new owners, the municipalities just unilaterally turned the electricity off to the new owners and tried to hold them ransom, force them to pay acknowledgements of debts for the previous historical debts on the property that they should have actually collected years ago. So it wasn't actually the tenants that had the problem, it was actually the new innocent purchasers. And the whole concept of our constitutional court case, which we've been driving, is that when a purchaser buys a property, he should buy it with a clean slate. He shouldn't inherit the debt of others. It's a very simple analogy would be you buy a person's vehicle second-hand, a few months go by, and then all of a sudden you've got to pay this other guy speeding fines from years ago.
Is it not required in South African law that for me to buy a house from you, Peter, you're going to have, I'll call it a debt clearance certificate for lack of a better word? So the city of Cape Town, I live in Cape Town, let's say, the city of Cape Town will need to assure me that Peter has settled all outstanding matters between you and the city.
You see, this is a terrible misunderstanding in the entire property industry. And a lot of people do not understand actually how it works. What happens when a property gets transferred, the bare minimum that has to be obtained from a municipality is a thing called a clearance certificate in terms of Section 1181. And what that basically means is if you pay only for the last 2 years' debts, you can get a clearance certificate and transfer. And this is actually the problem. That debt outside of the two-year period is called historical debt. And in all these matters that I acted for my clients, I actually went and I informed the municipalities how to collect that debt, that historical debt, from the correct part in each case, and they kept quiet. They didn't do anything. They sat back and they just waited idly for the property to be transferred and then tried to shift their responsibility onto the new owner. So I don't know if that makes sense, but basically a clearance certificate is a deceptive thing. It's only limited to 2 years. And a lot of people don't actually want to pay the full debt because then it stifles the sales.
So on Tuesday, what are you expecting the Constitutional Court to rule?
Look, the case is going to be heard on the 23rd. I'm hoping that the judgment will come out shortly. When we took this to the North Gauteng High Court last year, they took 10 months to bring our judgment out. So I'm hoping that we're not going to wait so long. But I have no doubt that the municipalities, that the Constitutional Court will uphold our case that new purchasers cannot be held liable for others' debts. I just can't see it. Last week or 2 weeks ago, the Banking Forum of South Africa also got involved, representing approximately 30-odd banks locally and internationally. The whole credit of our country can be dramatically affected. The repercussions are terribly profound, because if the municipalities right in their contentions, the banks effectively will lose their surety in the bonds that they issue on properties as well. And it's just completely unfair. Our law does not allow a person to pay for somebody else's debts that they haven't agreed to.
You've been spearheading this legal bid since 2013. Have you tested it in earlier courts, or have you gone straight to the Constitutional Court, Peter?
No. We had to before you can go to the Constitutional Court, you have to ventilate it through all the various courts. And in each and every single instance, the courts upheld our contentions. And it's actually surprising to me. A case like this should never have even gone to the level that it has. It's common sense. Just think for yourself. You buy something, how can you inherit the debt of somebody else? And for us, this has been a very, very, very tough journey, because all these clients that I'm representing and acting didn't have the money to go to court. Our company has been funding this all on our own. We have absolutely nothing to benefit from this, and we've been just wanting to help our clients out there, because it's just unfair that local government does this to people. It's just wrong.
All right. Now, when you've gone on behalf of your clients, I suppose, to the affected municipalities to advise them how they could get the money out of the person who actually owes them the money, what are you proposing to them? Obviously is a system in a practical way that a municipality can then try and get hold of Peter, who was the previous owner of the property, and get the money out of him.
Yeah. The municipalities have actually got godlike powers if they just follow the legislator's requirements properly. The municipalities are entitled to every single rand of legal debt, not debt that is prescribed and not that they're entitled to. But if they follow the bylaws and the procedures properly, this 115 billion rand and cetera that's owed to municipalities, with respect, is a joke, because municipalities can collect it. They just don't want to do it the right way. It involves a lot of work. But they just are, I don't want to say lazy, but they're just not doing what they need to do. And, in most of our instances, we wrote letters to the municipalities. We said, listen, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. And they sat back and did nothing. One of our other divisions, we have another company as well where we specialize in municipal revenue. We're a municipal revenue agency. And we've written proposals, and we've explained to the municipalities all these billions and billions that you are owed. You can get them, but you have to follow the procedures carefully. You can't just wait till the end of the equation and then want money. There's so much protection for local government, but they're not exercising their rights properly.
Well, those arguments will be heard on Tuesday in the Constitutional Courts, and we're wishing you and your clients the best. Peter Livanos is a municipal debt specialist with New Ventures Consulting and Services, taking a very important issue to court, where if you're a new owner, an innocent owner of a property, you should not be held liable for any historical debt associated with that house. That's something I agree with, isn't it? The same for you? 021 446 0567, SMSs to 31567. You can WhatsApp your voice notes and messages to 072 567 1567. I'd really like to hear your stories. You've bought property, and all of a sudden you are receiving notices from municipality to indicate that you are owing them mountains of money that obviously you don't, because you didn't live there before a certain date, and you certainly didn't use up that water or sewerage or whatever the case may be that came with that historical debt. What has been your experience, and how have you resolved it if you've done so successfully? 021 446 056.